Hello, welcome to the channel Experiments in Poetry. This is your host, Wendy. Today I will be doing a lyrical review of the Nirvana song, You Know You're Right. Nirvana at one time in the early 90s was probably one of the most popular rock bands in the world, and it featured Kurt Cobain on vocals and lead guitar with Chris Novoselic on bass and David Grohl on drums. The main songwriter for the band was Kurt Cobain, and the song we will be talking about today was written in 1993 by Kurt Cobain, and it was known to be the last song that he wrote and recorded before his untimely death in 1994. The lyrical review of the song was requested by a listener. Please, if you are interested in hearing me review a particular song or poem, please comment below or contact me at wendy@experimentsandpoetry.com. So back to the song You Know You're Right, written by Kurt Cobain and performed by Nirvana. The song was originally untitled. Kurt was not able to, or Kurt did not share what he wanted to be the title to it, as far as I know, and the recordings were just known as Kurt's Tune Number 1, and then later when the song was finally released in 2002 on the Nirvana box set compilation release as part of a promo, the track was named You Know You're Right. It was said that he recorded his vocals in one take and only went back to record sort of some harmonics on the course of the song. So if you haven't already, please go and watch the lyric video I made for the song You Know You're Right to listen to the performance of the song by Nirvana. And in particular, the vocals from Kurt Cobain in this song are really, really strong. In his delivery, it's just some gut-wrenching vocals where you can really feel his torment. And given the history of Kurt Cobain committing suicide shortly after recording this song, it's a little bit haunting. No, I'm sorry, not a little bit. It's very haunting, especially when you hear that Kurt Cobain. Now, I'm not really sure because I haven't investigated enough, so I haven't heard it from his mouth or from his bandmates, but from others talking about him, that he often kind of thought streamed his lyrics. So it wasn't something that he, like Jim Morrison did, where Jim Morrison from The Doors, when he wrote, it was more he would put it on paper and work it out on paper first, where Kurt Cobain, as he's kind of just recording himself singing and playing the music and just doing it freestyle. So that just goes to show how talented he was at songwriting, and he was a very beautiful, sensitive, created, talented, tormented soul, and he is loved and missed by many. As always, when I do lyrical reviews, I will be saying, he meant this and he was talking about that. But I always want to throw in the clarification that he never spoke up in public. There because he just kind of live thought streamed this song, and because he died so shortly after, he never gave an interview on what the meaning behind the song was, nor did his bandmates, although there's much speculation about whom the song is directed towards and talking about. I'm not going to name any names because it's not written for sure, but I will just be kind of saying he threw the lyrics kind of like a Rorschach of what the songwriter was talking about in general. First one, he starts off with a set of declarations. Um, I will never bother you. I will never promise you. I will never follow you. I will never bother you. Never speak a word again. I will crawl away for good. So right away, it seems as though a breakup has occurred, and he's basically declaring that, he's never going to, try to get this person back again, or never going to even have anything to do with them again. He's not even going to bother, and he's not going to talk to them. He's not going to anything. And he says, so in particular with the words, he repeats the line, I will never bother you, twice. So one has to question, does he feel like the person, or should I say, does the person feel he is some sort of nuisance, or does he feel like he's a nuisance to this person, just like no good for them? And then he says, never speak a word again. I will crawl away from good. Or, I'm sorry, for good. And so here I just feel like the word crawl, I mean, just how low can you be in your thought process or in a relationship where you're on the floor and crawling? Like you can't even walk. You are just diminished to a baby, you're just, when I think of baby, I think of crawling and just being kind of helpless in the situation, a feeling of just kind of being helpless in a situation, but not only helpless. As a baby, you don't really have the experience and the know-how to navigate through the situation. So I get all of that context in it. You know, maybe this is a new situation for him, walking away in this manner, or maybe he feels like he is treated like a baby and that he doesn't know how to do anything. One note about the beginning verse of this song is that it's very, very rhythmic. It has a very driving feel to it. Just so it has 6 lines, and each line has exactly 7 syllables. And then the next verse, I will move away from here. You won't be afraid of fear. No thought was put into this. I always knew it would come to this. Things have never been so swell. I have never failed to fail. So this verse is also 6 lines, and each line has 7 syllables. The only line that sticks out is the I always knew it would come to this, which has 9 syllables. And I think that line has a very particular meaning to the overall song, which is you got in the first verse, the ending of a relationship. Um, which would be that he kind of knew that this was going to happen. Um, and that and he knew it wasn't going to work out, but he went ahead and gave it a try, and or perhaps just did it anyway, with the lines that no thought was put into this. So even I would say, knowing that it wasn't going to work out, he went ahead and did it anyway. That he's commenting, I guess I really didn't think too much about that. He just jumped right in. Um, and then when you follow it up with the end, the last line of the lyric, I have never failed to fail. So one has to ask, is it just about this particular relationship, or is he really commenting overall about all of his relationships, because they always seem to fail in the end? And that if he had put some thought into it, that maybe he wouldn't have bothered to have a relationship with someone at all. I feel like the beginning lines of the verse are pretty straightforward. I will move away from here. So it's the end of the relationship. He's going away. You won't be afraid of fear. So is he saying that his lover is fearless? Or is he referring to himself as fear itself? Which I think is a very interesting concept there. Because, fear is an emotion, and particularly it's an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous and likely to cause pain or a threat. I don't know. Just think about that a little bit. Is he fear itself? And then when you follow it up with the lines in the chorus, which is pain repeated 3 times, using 4 syllables, and then you're right, using, I can't really tell if it's 6 or 7 syllables. And the reason why I'm saying I can't really tell is because of the way that it is sung, with his voice fluctuation, how long he's carrying that words out for, especially the "you're right" part. Again, I was saying that possibly maybe he's referring to himself as fear, repeating the lines pain 3 times, and then again at the end of the song, he repeats the line pain 5 times, and then the final word in the song is pain. Now, it could mean, and I feel like that he kind of is referring to himself as pain itself. He's in so much heartbreak. He's just broken, broken, broken. And he just has taken on that emotion of pain, as if every molecule in his body is now pain itself. And I should also add that I don't know what condition it was, but I do remember watching an interview with Kurt Cobain many, many years ago, probably when he was still living, and he was talking about some sort of stomach condition that he had, which caused him quite amount of pain. So he was living with this chronic condition that caused him to be in excruciating pain all the time. And then now there's this ending of this relationship that has him feeling emotional pain to go along with his physical pain, emphasizing the fact that, you know, he is pain itself. Okay, on to the third verse where it is, I'm so warm and calm inside, I no longer have to hide. Let's talk about someone else. The steaming soup begins to melt. Nothing really bothers her. She just wants to love herself. So when I hear, I'm so warm and calm inside, I no longer have to hide. It's very interesting that's following him screaming pain over and over again, possibly referring to himself as spirit itself, and then screaming, you know you're right, a few times. That again, you can kind of see the sarcasm in that, or the kind of maybe outward having one persona of being, everything's fine, everything is completely fine. But on the inside, it's the screaming of the pain and the you're right. Um, and the fact that he's saying I no longer have to hide maybe is that was his breaking point of when he lets the world know or his lover know that his true feelings about the situation. And then he says, let's just change the topic with let's talk about someone else. The steaming soup begins to melt. So he wants to change the topic, and then he says the steaming soup begins to melt, which is really, really interesting line here. It's like, is he saying things are coming to a boil? Things are coming to a head. So therefore he wants to change the topic before he absolutely comes to a final breaking point. Or is he simply saying with the steaming soup begins to melt that it's done? When you look at something and the you're trying to heat something up and the cheese on top of the French onion soup or something is, getting caramelized, then you know that, it's done. There's nothing more that you can do for this. And then if you continue on, then you're just ruining it even more, and you're just done. I also think that the metaphor is interesting because there's two different phase changes going on. He wants to change the topic, whereas there's the phase change of a solid going to a liquid with the word melt, and then maybe also the phase change of his feelings, which was I was hiding how I feel and now I'm coming out, and then you have it going from a liquid to a gas with the word steaming. Um, so that is also a very good illustration technique. And then he says, nothing really bothers her. She just wants to love herself. Again, he is pain itself. He feels all of these emotions and he feels them so deeply. But when he looks to his lover, it seems like she can care less. She isn't bothered at all. She's not in this pain. She is completely happy doing her thing. So the fourth verse is repeating the second verse. I will move away from here. You won't be afraid of fear. No thought was put into this. I always knew to come to this. Things have never been so well. I have never failed to fail. And I didn't comment on this when I was talking about the verse the first time, but you could see the sarcasm in things have never been so swell. Because obviously things are not going well for him. And absolutely wailing the word pain over and over and over again. So it's very, very dynamic in the writing and in his vocals. You can really feel it, the change in a very calmly stating the verses, and then the pain just comes out, and all the emotion comes out in the chorus part. And then he repeats, "You know you're right," 17 times, and then just pain as a final stop. Oh, wow. Like, so, the way I see this is in a relationship, often the things that you fight about on a daily basis, or yeah, the things that you fight about, there is no one person's right and one person's wrong. You can be arguing about, let's just say, something silly like, I want to go out more. And then the other person is maybe more of a homebody. And if the person who is telling the other person, listen, you want to go, 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 and go out and always be around a lot of people, but when I'm around a lot of people, it gives me anxiety, and I get irritable, and I need lots and lots of like alone time and or downtime to kind of like reboot myself. Those are just differences in personalities. Maybe one person can't stand to be alone, not for 1 second, and always has to keep themselves extremely, extremely busy, because when they have downtime, they just get like really sad and bored. And then labeling the other person as wrong, oh, you're boring, or oh, you're insecure and you always need lots of people around you to feel happy. You need attention. So he's not really saying what the problem is here, but what they're fighting over exactly. But the one thing that really drives home is the fact that there is not an understanding or of each other's standpoint or feelings on an issue or several issues. And in order for a relationship to work, you both have to kind of acknowledge what the other person is feeling and then feel sympathy or empathy for that and work with them. But it seems in this case very clear that his lover is not being very sensitive to his needs, or maybe he feels they're being selfish and not seeing his point of view. And I feel like, when he's repeating, you're right, 17 times, that's kind of like, he's giving his point of view, and the person, he just came to a final recognition that, what, he could talk until he's blue in the face, and this person is never going to compromise. They're never going to understand him, or what he's thinking and feeling, and they're never going to do it, ever, ever. And so it's kind of like he's throwing his hands up in the air and is like, you know what? I give up. You're right. You're right. Not that he actually, again, thinks the person's right, but it's kind of like, I want to stop the arguing. So I'm just gonna be like, all right, you're whatever. You're right. And then end, full stop, walk away. Instead of saying, you're right over and over again, it's kind of like, the way I hear it is he's repeating, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm done. Not over it as in it's not causing him pain, but he's not trying anymore, just like how we started it. I will never bother you. I will never promise to. I will never follow you. I will never bother you. I will never speak to you again. I'm just gonna crawl away. There's nothing I can do about this situation. And then he ends it with one word, pain. So obviously, it's not something he wants to do. It's causing him great anguish, but it's the ultimate conclusion. And again, he said twice in the song, he always knew it'd come to this. And why? Because he never failed to fail before. Concludes my review of the lyric. Overall, I think it's a very difficult song to listen to. It's very, not because it's not a beautiful song and a well written lyric, it's just because of the circumstances of him writing that. And again, right before his untimely self induced death, that it's like he is screaming, screaming that he is pain itself, and it's just to see a person go through that anguish, and then he, you know what the conclusion was to that, and that he never was able to get the help that he really needed, and whatever he was going through at the time. But it's a piece of history, and we thank him so much for all the art that he has given to us, and I'm glad to have known his work. This song has done very well for Nirvana, and I'm not sure. I think I saw it on Wikipedia or something like this. I'm not sure. Is it NME, the publication? Yes. That ranked it as the second ranked Nirvana song ever, and Rolling Stone had it listed in their top 21 songs of all 102 Nirvana songs. Thanks for listening to my review. If you have anything you'd like to add, please put it in the comments below. And I hope that you continue listening to other reviews of lyrics and poetry. Thank you.